Hi, it's Sarah. Today we are going to make a single serve or enough for two people, like a really nice apple dessert or like a really light apple. It's not apple crisp, it's just called apple dessert. So it's super easy. And so I'm gonna use the these are not Honey Crisp, the Granny Smith apples. I like these in dessert. And I had 2 apples left. So I'm gonna use these up. And my trick to cutting apples is I cut and leave the core like that. And then I will cut them pretty small because we're gonna cut these into not slices, but chunks. So we should end up with about 2 cups of apples, about 1.5 cups. So you wanna get your oven preheated to 350 degrees. So I've got that going. So I'm just gonna chop these up. So I do a lot of recipes for big families, but in real life, I'm an empty nester, so my kids are in college, and so I do a lot of half recipes for people that just don't have that really big family that they need to feed anymore, and you don't want the food to go bad. So this is one of those recipes that I'm pretty much cutting in half. I'm using 2 apples, so if you want to double this recipe, then you'll have enough for a full 9x13 pan. This will do a 9x9 pan. Okay, so we want about 2 cups of apples, and then we're gonna take sugar, and we're gonna put them over the top of the apples, and we're gonna let it sit for 10 minutes. It just soaks in the apples. Now, I know people are gonna say you're not peeling your apples. I don't peel my apples. I don't know if that is not a bad thing, but I just don't take the time to peel off the skin. I don't notice a difference in taste. Okay, so we'll finish this. I should have 2 cups of apples. And this cake, it's kind of like a cake, but it has a really good brown sugar sauce that we're gonna make to pour over the top of it. You don't want your apples in super small chunks, just, like bite-sized chunks. And we're almost done. Okay, so I'm gonna pause this. Actually, I'm not gonna pause it. I'm gonna put the sugar on the apples first, and then we'll pause it because we gotta wait 10 minutes. So I've got the apples all cut up. And then we wanna take white sugar. I'm gonna grab that. My pantry. And we need 1 cup of sugar. It seems like a lot of sugar, but it's the actual sugar for the cake. Also, so we, want a little bit of that. So 1 cup of sugar over the apples, and we're just gonna let them sit for 10 minutes, and then we will be back to finish the rest of the cake. Okay, we're back after this has sat for about 10 minutes, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a bowl, and my glass bowl was dirty, so you won't be able to see through this one, but I'll show it to you at the end. So you wanna take 1 egg. All right, and just lightly beat that kind of in the bottom. Okay, we're gonna take 1/2 cup of nuts. You don't have to do this, so walnuts, pecans, almonds, kind of whatever you would like, so about 1/2 cup. I'm using sliced almonds because that's what I had. I would probably use walnuts, would be my second option in there. You need 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. One teaspoon of baking soda. Now I realize that this is probably not like a spring dessert, but it's so yummy when you have leftover apples that you need to use. And there's a ton of people that, oh my gosh, I'm about out of soda. There's a ton of people that grow their own apples. And so this is really a good recipe for spring and summer also. So we'll kind of mix that in. And then 1 cup of flour. Okay, so just lightly mix that in, and then we're gonna add our apples next. Okay, we're gonna add our apple sugar mixture. Okay, so I'm gonna use, I said 9x9 earlier, but I'm gonna use an 8x8 pan because I like that apple dessert just a little bit thicker. Okay, so we're gonna pour it into a greased 8x8. So just kind of pour that in. Add one big chunk of apple there, and then press it down. Okay, we're gonna bake at 350 degrees for 40 to 45 minutes, and then we are going to make the sauce that goes over the top. And it's like a yummy, brown, sugary, crumbly topping that goes on the top. So we will do that on the stove as soon as this is done baking. So 40 to 45 minutes in the oven, and I'll be back to show you the topping. Okay, so I just pulled this out of the oven. I'm gonna back me up a little bit, and this is what the apple dessert looks like when it comes out. So nice and yummy. All right, now we're gonna make the top. So on a stove, you'll need just a regular saucepan. We're gonna put it on low. We're gonna add 3 tablespoons of flour. Actually 3.5, so I'm gonna overdo 1 heaping cup. Teaspoon, 1 heaping teaspoon. And then 1/2 cup of white sugar. Where did I put my sugar? Okay, hold on. 1/2 cup of white sugar. 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I think I might have to get more brown sugar out. I will, I'm gonna empty the rest of that. So 1/2 cup brown. I wanted to get to the end of that. Okay, so we've got that. Oh, we got a mess, so you can see it. All right, and then we're gonna add 1 cup of water to that. So there's half and 1. Okay, 1/4 cup of butter. So that's 1/2 of a stick. And then we're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla. All right, and we're gonna mix all this up. Teaspoon of vanilla. And we're gonna mix all this up, and we're gonna boil it for 2 minutes. So I'm gonna get it cranked up here. I'm going to use a whisk. Well, that's not my baking drawer. Hold on. I'm just going to use a whisk, and I'm going to show you what this looks like a little closer here, because I want to make sure that I get all of we don't have any clumps, so that butter will melt. And we want to actually stir it together for 2 minutes. And what it's going to do, it's going to soak into this cake. So we got to get it up to a boil. So we'll get that on high. And while that's doing that, we'll clean this up a little bit. It's kind of almost like you're making almost like a caramel sauce. Getting thicker from the flour. So we're gonna, okay, so 2 minutes. And it's getting thick, see that? So we don't wanna burn the bottom of it. So we're just gonna get that so it's nice and thick like that. So constant stirring. Okay, and I think we're good. Okay, so it's about 2 minutes. Shut that off. Okay, back to the cake. Okay, so that is the cake. And then we're going to just pour this over the top for the topping. And I'm just gonna spread that out. I can use the whisk so I don't have a second. And that is all there is to that for this yummy apple dessert. So I'm going to let it completely cool. Where am I? Hi. I'm gonna let that completely cool, and then we're gonna cut it up, and I gotta take some pictures for my blog or my food channel, sweettoothsara.com. All of my recipes are posted there. I think I've got like 250 of them out there right now. And then we will get this all posted up to YouTube, and hopefully you're gonna love this recipe. So again, the apple dessert, yummy, yummy. All right, we're gonna cut into the apple cake. So we've got this, and I'm wearing it is pretty nice in Minnesota, but it is raining today really hard. So I've got my big old sweatshirt on. Okay, so I'm gonna cut a piece of this. And I generally cut it bigger than I probably would. Ooh, it's nice and warm. Okay. All right, so this is what it looks like. So this yummy apple dessert. Oh, gosh, it looks so good. All right, we're gonna try a bite. Okay, so we're gonna try a bite off the edge. Oh, yeah. It's unique because, you know, you've mixed it kind of all in, but it is good. Look at that. I hope you love this recipe. And always go to sweettoothsara.com, and you might find some other really good recipes that you would love to try.